Hi, do you remember A Porcupine Named Fluffy? I read that book to you yesterday, and then I told you that I was going to see if you could remember some of the details of that book. So, it is important when you are a reader or when you're being read to that you remember what you're being read. That's just part of being a good reader. So, there's all those kind of things that have to be going on. You got to think, okay, what's the punctuation? Do I have to sound out this word? Is it a sight word? And now you're telling me I have to remember what I read? I am. But you know what? That's something that we grow into. So, as you're reading books this summer, and as you're listening to someone read you books this summer, don't forget to take time to stop and talk about what you're reading because that way you can understand the story better. And sometimes it's just kind of neat to be able to share funny parts of the story and talk about them. So, this is your last time for making meaning. And I'm going to reread you A Porcupine Named Fluffy. And I'm going to stop every once in a while and I'm going to ask you questions to see if you remember what I've just read you. This book is by Helen Lester and it's illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. So pay attention. When Mr. and Mrs. Porcupine had their first child, they were delighted. Now he needed a name. Should they call him Spike? No, Spike was too common. Should they call him Lance? No, Lance was too fierce. Should they call him Needle Rooser? No, Needle Rooser was too long. Prickles? Pokey? Quinlan? Then together they had an idea. Let's call him Fluffy. It's such a pretty name. Fluffy. But soon there came a time when Fluffy began to doubt that he was Fluffy. He first became suspicious when he backed into a door and stuck fast. That was not a Fluffy thing to do. He was even more convinced when he accidentally slept on his back and poked holes in a mattress. A very unfluffy thing to do. When he tried to carry an umbrella, he knew the truth without a doubt. Fluffy definitely wasn't. So, what were some things that just happened to Fluffy that proved to him that he wasn't Fluffy? Do you remember? Maybe you said he got stuck to the door. Maybe you said he poked holes in his mattress or that he poked holes in his umbrella. Definitely not Fluffy things to do. So he decided to become fluffier. Clouds are fluffy, he thought. I'll be a cloud. But he couldn't stay up. I know. Pillows are fluffy, he said. I'll be a pillow. But when his mother sat on him, she was not pleased. He tried soaking in a bubble bath for 45 minutes, but he did not become fluffy. He became soggy. He tried whipped cream. He put a little on each quill. It was not easy, and it took more than a half a day. But this did not make Fluffy fluffy. They should have named me Gooey, he sighed. So what had he tried to make himself to become more fluffy? Maybe you said he tried to be a cloud. Or the pillow idea or the bath idea. Have you ever sat in the bath so long you become soggy? And then he tried whipped cream. Now, some of you might be remembering from yesterday. What did he eat? I haven't read that part yet today. He ate a lot of fluffy marshmallows. He rolled in shaving cream and feathers. And he even tried to become a bunny. But the truth remained, Fluffy wasn't. Now, do you remember yesterday who he met when he was out walking? He met a rhinoceros, didn't he? One afternoon, Fluffy set out for a walk, trying to think of ways to become fluffy. Before long, he met a very large rhinoceros. "Grrr," said the rhinoceros. "I'm going to give you a rough time." Fluffy didn't know what a rough time was, but he didn't like the sound of that at all. "What's your name, small prickly thing?" asked the rhinoceros unkindly. "Fluffy," said Fluffy. The rhinoceros smiled. He giggled, and then he laughed out loud. He rolled on the ground, he jiggled and slapped his knees, and he roared with laughter. "A porcupine named Fluffy!" howled the rhinoceros. Now, if you were Fluffy right there, how would you feel right now if someone had just made fun of your name? I'd probably feel bad too, kind of hurt, wouldn't you? Fluffy was embarrassed, but he tried to be polite. "And what is your name?" he inquired. "I can't say it," giggled the rhinoceros. "Hubert," suggested Fluffy. "Oh, help, I just can't say it. I'm laughing so hard," said the rhinoceros. "Harold? Or maybe Herman?" asked Fluffy. Now, can you think back? Do you remember yesterday what his name was? "No," gasped the rhinoceros. "It's Hippo." "Hippo? A rhinoceros named Hippo?" Fluffy smiled. He giggled, and then he laughed out loud. He jiggled and slapped his knees. He howled with laughter. "A rhinoceros named Hippo?" Fluffy cried. A porcupine named Fluffy and a rhinoceros named Hippo. It was almost more than they could bear. Hippo and Fluffy rolled on the ground, giggling and laughing until tears came to their eyes. At last, they lay exhausted on the ground, and from that time on, they were the best of friends. And Fluffy didn't mind being Fluffy anymore, even though he wasn't. When Hippo first met Fluffy, what did he tell him he was going to do? Remember, he said, "I'm going to give you a rough time." Do you know what that means? Yeah, he was planning on being a bully right from the start, wasn't he? But is that how the story ended? It is not. They found out that they both kind of had funny names that really didn't fit who they were, but they still became best friends. So I hope this summer, as you are reading books or having books read to you, that you stop and you talk about what you're reading, because it's very important to remember what you've read. Happy reading.